With every party comes the cleanup. With every good piece of news, there's always something in the background. Today we're talking about what the Red Wings need to be careful about in regards to the newest signing of Patrick Kane. Now, yesterday, you probably saw the video that we made. We made it at 6 a.m. in the morning because, hey, I live here on the West Coast. Everything is 3 hours ahead. And Patrick Kane decided to make the decision, or not the official signing, but just the decision, to the point that NHL insiders like Chris Johnston and Elliot Friedman leaked it when I was supposed to be in bed. But if you listened to yesterday's video, you know that I wasn't in bed. I was getting ready to sleep. It was 5:30 a.m. in the morning, and I was getting prepared. But we kind of just went over the entire idea. We said, hey, Patrick Kane, still a good hockey player, some concerns with the injuries, but he's coming over to Detroit on a one-year deal, which is going to be interesting when you consider the Patrick Kane-Alex DeBrincat connection. We didn't have any details at the time of that video's publication of the AAV, the dollar amount, nor any of the extra stuff, so that's what this video is setting out to do. Providing the extracurricular details as to Patrick Kane, the Detroit Red Wings, what we need to be careful about, and all the tidbits in between. So, let's start out with the dollar amount. The Detroit Red Wings went out there and revealed it. Detroit signs Patrick Kane to a one-year contract with an AAV of $2.75 million a year. Definitely not super expensive. And to expand more so on that idea, here's a tweet from Ryan Hanna of the Wing Wheeled Pod. They do some really good work, wherein he talks about a few of these specifics. Here are some early thoughts on Patrick Kane. Firstly, another big name chooses Detroit. That's big. Secondly, we're unsure about how he'll return from hip resurfacing. Thirdly, if he comes back, amazing. Big boost to offense. If not, it's a low-risk LTIR move. And finally, it's going to be very weird seeing Patrick Kane in a Red Wings jersey. Speaking about the jersey, hey, take a look at the jersey number. Helene St. James went out there and said this, that Daniel Sprong says Patrick Kane can have his number 88. And, okay, yeah, I don't think anybody's going to be too surprised about that. I mean, Patrick Kane is one of the best American players of all time, if not the best, so coming over to a team like Detroit, wherein there already was an 88, it makes a lot of sense for Spronger to go out there and forfeit that number. And hey, who knows, maybe Patrick Kane will buy the guy a watch as a kind gesture of respect in response. If you know where that's from, then hey, pretty good reference, eh? So, we already talked about the what and the how, let's talk about the when. Here's what Chris Johnson went out there and tweeted out. There isn't a set timeline for when Patrick Kane will make his Red Wings debut. He'll have to get some practice reps in with the team and see how things go. But it sounds like there's a good chance it happens at some point next week. We also had ourselves an analysis done as to how everything went down. Here's a tweet made by Frank Saravelli that gave out some more ideas. Here are two things that helped the Red Wings land Kane. Firstly, you had GM Steve Yzerman flying to Toronto to meet with Kane face-to-face. And secondly, you had the Red Wings breaking up that DeBrincat-Larkin-Raymond line last week. This opens the door for a Kane-DeBrincat reunion. So, with that idea in mind, I mean, you want to talk about the extra players, you want to swap out guys, okay. Do you want to run DeBrincat-Kane-Larkin? That sounds like an all-American line for the ages, and one that if there was like an Olympic Games going on or something, you could legitimately copy and paste onto the main team with no qualms. That seems like an all-star line. But of course, there are some extra nooks and crannies that you could explore in regards to finding who works with Patrick Kane. We already talked about this in yesterday's video, but one of the big questions in my mind was who exactly leaves the lineup when you get Patrick Kane onto this roster? Do you get Christian Fischer out of the lineup? Do you swap around somebody else? Klim Kostin maybe? Somebody in the bottom of the lineup? And you just move everybody else around from there? Do you give Patrick Kane immediate first-line minutes? Do you play him with Alex DeBrincat and Larkin, or Alex DeBrincat and JT Compher? I mean, Raymond and Compher have been pretty good together, so why try to break everything up there? Now, I know Dylan Larkin is injured at the moment, but hey, if Patrick Kane is returning next week and Larkin is day-to-day at this very moment in time, then there's probably a likelihood that things will sort themselves out by the time next week rolls around, right? Let's also talk about a few extra details here in regards to other teams and what other offers there were on the table. Greg Wyshynski went out there and tweeted this: Patrick Kane had multi-year offers from other NHL teams before signing a one-year deal with the Wings, NHL sources told ESPN. Kane decided to go short-term with a team he felt that could contend now, and then reevaluate his options in the summer. We had talked about this in the video yesterday as well, but because the cap is going up, because Patrick Kane has an opportunity to completely revitalize himself and show off that he is better than all the other players that weren't able to recover from this hip surgery, then this could be a good opportunity for him to earn some money next year. If there already was some sort of contention and insecurity from other NHL teams as to whether or not Kane would be worth the money, this is an opportunity for him to show off his worth, while also playing on a team that he feels could contend in the now. Not to mention, of course, the link with Alex DeBrincat. But when it comes to this entire idea, you may be asking yourselves, okay, there is a lot of extra information here, but what are you talking about in the title and the thumbnail? What is the big thing the Wings have to be careful about? And to help us out, we're going over onto NHL Network, because what they did was they made a list of different players to receive this hip resurfacing surgery with their games played and status after the surgery. This was posted onto the Our Red Wings sub. Let's go over each of the individual cases of players who have exhibited the hip resurfacing surgery and talk about what happened afterwards. So Patrick Kane is at the bottom of the list. He's 34 years old, and he had the surgery. We don't know what actually happened with him afterwards. Let's go over to the top of the list, though, because right away you have yourselves Nick Backstrom in the Washington Capitals system. He was 34 years old when he had this surgery, and immediately afterwards, he could only play 47 games. Since then, Backstrom has been removed from the Caps lineup. He has 8 games played this season. He's got 1 assist, and it's a very unfortunate fall from grace for a guy that was one of the most underrated playmakers in the entire NHL, just a total beast of a hockey player. I mean, before the days Patrick Kane started taking over the NHL with Art Ross level production, you had guys like Backstrom and Ovechkin, Sidney Crosby and the Sedins all taking over. So definitely a sad sign to see with Backstrom and his recovery. Second on the list, it's Ed Jovanovski, JovoCop. He had himself this same surgery when he was 36 years old, and he only played 37 games after the fact. He was unable to play. Next up, you had yourselves 2 players, Carl Hagelin and Ryan Kesler, each at 34 years old, also with unable to play status. These guys could not suit up for an NHL game again after this surgery. And so for Patrick Kane, the list of players that he's following up in the footsteps of in regards to this procedure, it's not great. Not that Backstrom, Jovanovski, Hagelin, and Kesler were bum NHL players. No, they were all pretty good. But this surgery signaled the end of their careers, essentially. And it's kind of sad to see for guys like Kesler, for example, because there was a time when he was the best defensive center in the entire NHL. JovoCop was an absolute beast. There's a reason he had that nickname. Nick Backstrom, super good playmaker. And Carl Hagelin, just a speedy, do-it-all kind of guy. Patrick Kane has some really big shoes to fill if he's going to go out there and do what it is that we want him to do, what the Red Wings want him to do, and what he himself probably wants to do as well. There's no doubt in my mind that Patrick Kane believes in his ability to play hockey. I mean, that's why he wanted to sign the deal and set things up for himself better in the future, right? That's why he bet on himself with a one-year deal rather than going to some other team with a multi-year contract. But the Red Wings need to be super careful that everything goes right, because other players who have exhibited this same type of recovery have not looked good after the fact. This is a very rocky road, and admittedly, when it comes to this list of players, Patrick Kane is the best one of them all, and you could say that he was at his best when he had the surgery compared to everybody else. Patrick Kane could very well be the exception to the rule here. But time will tell as we wait on to see whether or not he actually makes the Wings and how well he performs in that role afterwards. So, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about Patrick Kane and all of the discussion regarding his signing? What are your thoughts on the extra details we had learned today? And what are your thoughts on the list of players that also needed this surgery and were not able to come back properly? Backstrom, Jovanovski, Hagelin, Kesler. Is Kane next in line? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.